What would you do if someone you respected extended their hand to you and you slapped it away in front of the entire world? The polished silence of the Avalon Holdings Tower was broken by a single, chilling sentence. I don't shake hands with staff. The words echoed through the hallway like a thunderclap. The man who said them, Nicholas Trent, billionaire CEO of Avalon, didn't flinch. His manicured hand had recoiled from a simple gesture of kindness. The hand reaching toward him belonged to Ezekiel Carter, a 58-year-old janitor whose soft smile and outstretched hand had only meant, "Good luck on your big meeting, sir." Ezekiel's hand stayed frozen in the air for a second longer than it should have. His smile trembled, then disappeared. I I was just being polite, Mr. Trent." "Well, don't be," Nicholas snapped, wiping his hand with a handkerchief like he'd touched something filthy. "Stick to what you're paid for." From behind, Alina Monroe, a marketing intern, gasped and dropped her phone slightly, but not before her live stream had already captured the exchange. Two junior executives flanking Trent exchanged glances. One whispered, "Did he just say that out loud?" The security guard nearby, James Ramirez, clenched his jaw. "That man's been here 12 years, he muttered. "Cleaned this whole building through every season. That's Ezekiel Carter. He's a war vet, an engineer, and he once fixed the mainframe when IT failed." But Nicholas Trent didn't hear that. He had already turned his back. What he didn't know was that the man watching quietly from the elevator bay was Darius Monroe, founder of Monroe Capital and Ezekiel's brother-in-law. Darius wasn't just any man. He was the person Trent was supposed to impress in exactly 5 minutes. But let's rewind. Just 24 hours earlier. Inside his corner office overlooking the Manhattan skyline, Nicholas Trent sipped his imported espresso while skimming a presentation. His assistant Valerie entered holding a digital tablet. "Mr. Trent, Monroe Capital confirmed for tomorrow at 2 p.m. That's $5 billion in renewable infrastructure support." Nicholas nodded, not even looking up. "Keep the riffraff off the top floor. I don't want interns, janitors, or mailroom workers near the boardroom tomorrow." Valerie paused. "Sir, should I alert security or just use your judgment? People who don't wear suits shouldn't be near the money," he said with a dry chuckle. What neither of them knew was that Darius Monroe had already decided to arrive early, and not in a limousine. He wanted to see the real Avalon, the unfiltered version. At 1:45 p.m. the next day, Darius stepped into Avalon Tower dressed in a modest navy suit. No entourage, no fanfare. The receptionist barely glanced up as he said calmly, "I'm here for a 2 o'clock with Mr. Trent. No need to announce me just yet. I'm early." "Of course, Mr. Monroe," she replied, a little surprised. "Please take a seat." But Darius didn't sit. He stood quietly near the elevator watching, and what he saw would change everything. At 1:52 p.m., Nicholas Trent strutted out of his private elevator with 2 assistants and 3 executives following closely behind. He looked like a man in command, powerful, rich, and utterly untouchable. Ezekiel had just finished cleaning the glass walls near the boardroom. Raised in Georgia, where respect was as common as sweet tea, he paused, smiled, and said, "Afternoon, Mr. Trent. Hope your big meeting goes well." He extended his hand, the same hand that had earned a degree in mechanical engineering before taking custodial work to support his family. The same hand that raised a daughter who became an attorney and married into the Monroe family. And Nicholas Trent said it again. "I don't shake hands with staff." In that moment, everything froze. Darius's hand clenched around his phone. Alina's livestream exploded with shocked emojis and comments. "Did he just say that? Bro, this is 2025. Wait, that's Ezekiel Carter. He's a veteran, y'all." Ezekiel lowered his hand slowly, dignity radiating from his silence. "Understood, sir. I'll get back to work." Darius took one last glance at the man his daughter's father-in-law had just insulted and walked calmly toward the executive boardroom. Inside, the chairs were prepped, the lighting perfect, the presentation ready. Nicholas turned as Darius entered. "Mr. Monroe, Nicholas Trent, a pleasure. Ready to change the future together?" Darius didn't extend his hand. He didn't smile. He didn't even sit. Instead, he looked Nicholas dead in the eyes and said, I have one question before we begin. Of course, Nicholas replied, oblivious. That janitor in the hallway, what's his name? The boardroom was silent, not the kind of silence that invites peace, but the kind that comes right before everything breaks. Darius Monroe stood slowly, adjusting his cuff as he looked directly at Nicholas Trent. The air seemed to freeze around them. The janitor you humiliated out there. His name is Ezekiel Carter, Darius said, his voice steady. He's worked here for over 12 years. He has 2 master's degrees. He volunteers every weekend at the community shelter, and he raised a daughter who now works for the federal courts. Nicholas didn't say a word. His jaw tensed. Darius stepped closer to the table, resting one hand lightly on the back of a chair. And he's also my family, he said. Nicholas blinked. You're what? My daughter married his son. I've spent holidays with Ezekiel. I've eaten his wife's cornbread. I've sat across from him while he told stories about fixing this very building's old systems when IT failed. And while you were out there talking down to him like he was invisible, I was watching. Nicholas's smile cracked into disbelief. This is a misunderstanding. A handshake doesn't define... You're absolutely right, Darius cut him off. A handshake doesn't define anything, but how you treat people when no one's watching? That defines everything. Valerie, the assistant, stepped into the room. Her face was pale. She held up her tablet like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Mr. Trent, she said, voice shaky, the video, it's viral. Over 11 million views, and it's not stopping. Hashtags are exploding, one of the junior board members whispered. Your handshake gate. I am not staff. Ezekiel test. This is a full-blown crisis. Nicholas's face turned ashen. You're all overreacting. It's a misunderstanding, that's all. This can be explained. Darius raised an eyebrow. Really? Then explain to me why someone like you can walk past a man who spent over a decade serving your company with excellence. Someone who had the decency to wish you luck. And you humiliate him in front of interns, security, executives, and, as it turns out, the world? No answer came. I came here, Darius continued, ready to sign a $5 billion commitment to your renewable energy vision. I believe this company could lead the future, but no amount of innovation can excuse arrogance. No deal is worth aligning my name with a man who weaponizes status to dehumanize others. He closed his briefcase slowly. The deal is off. Nicholas slammed a hand on the table. You're going to destroy this company over that? No, Darius replied calmly. You destroyed it yourself. All I did was witness the truth. He turned to leave, but paused at the doorway. You want to lead the future, Nicholas? Start by respecting the hands that build it. Then he walked out, leaving behind a room full of stunned executives and a CEO gasping for air. By the end of the day, the video had reached over 30 million views. News networks picked it up globally. Employees at companies across the world began posting their own stories of silent disrespect, unfair treatment, and unspoken classism. The hashtag IAMNOTSTAFF became more than a trend. It became a movement. Employees at Avalon Holdings quietly gathered in the HR office. Some started printing resignation letters. Others formed a private group chat titled Respect Over Rank. At 7:34 p.m., the board of directors made it official. Nicholas Trent was terminated as CEO, effective immediately. Security escorted him from the building through a side entrance. No one clapped. No one protested. They just watched him disappear like a ghost swallowed by the night. 3 days later, Ezekiel Carter returned to the office, not in a janitor's uniform, but in a navy blue blazer and pressed shirt. His ID badge had changed. So had his position. He was now a senior advisor for ethical leadership. But that wasn't the surprise. As he stepped into the building, Maria from accounting stopped him at the elevators. Ezekiel, she said, smiling warmly. Wait. She started clapping. Then James, the head of security, joined in. Then the mailroom team. Then people from legal, finance, and IT. In seconds, the entire lobby was filled with applause. Ezekiel stood still, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say, he finally whispered. You don't have to, Maria replied. You've already said everything. By how you live. Tears welled in Ezekiel's eyes. He looked at the same polished floors he had mopped for over a decade. My mother used to say, he began softly, you don't need money to give people dignity. Just a heart that remembers we all matter. 6 months later, a marble plaque was unveiled in the lobby of the newly renamed Anderson Carter Foundation. It read, in honor of Ezekiel Carter. For proving that greatness has no title inside the foundation's new headquarters, Darius Monroe walked into an office overlooking the city skyline. Ezekiel sat behind the desk, flipping through a community grant proposal. How's the new corner office treating you? Darius asked with a grin. Ezekiel chuckled. Still feels too big for a janitor. You were never just a janitor, Darius said. I got a letter from a janitor in Brazil last week, Ezekiel said. He said his boss saw the video. Raised everyone's pay, started shaking hands every morning, Darius nodded. The ripple effect. Ezekiel leaned back in his chair. Do you think Nicholas ever learned anything? Darius took a moment before answering. I don't know, but I know the world did. Across the city, in a small apartment lit only by a flickering TV, Nicholas Trent sat alone. The sound of the viral video played again. I don't shake hands with staff. He pressed pause. Rewind. Play. Pause again. He stared at his own frozen expression on screen. It was just a handshake, he whispered. But even he didn't believe that anymore. In schools around the country, teachers played the clip of Ezekiel's story during leadership workshops. Companies implemented the Ezekiel Standard, a new HR training module focused on dignity, equity, and workplace empathy. And at one local middle school, a young boy raised his hand during an assembly where Ezekiel was speaking. Mr. Carter, the boy asked, how did you stay calm when he embarrassed you? Ezekiel smiled. Because I knew I wasn't just standing there for myself. I was standing for everyone who ever felt invisible. Everyone who's ever been told they were just staff. He paused and looked around the room. And I want you to remember something. You are not too small to be seen. You are not too ordinary to be heard. You don't have to be rich to be respected. All you need is to respect yourself first. The applause was long and loud, and somewhere in that room, a child who had once felt invisible walked out feeling like he mattered. Ezekiel Carter had offered a simple handshake. The world had responded with open arms, and respect, once given freely, had grown into something unstoppable.